Cool. All right. Well, welcome to the Hustling podcast. If this is your first time here, Hustling is the leading marketplace for side gigs. And this week, I'm super excited because we have a very special guest, Amber, who is the serial entrepreneur and currently the founder / CEO of Vette. So with that, I want to jump right in. Amber, can you give us a high level overview of what Vette is?
Sure, absolutely. So Vette is a platform that utilizes the gig economy to perform a task for a business virtually off of a script. So our focus right now is phone interviews. So basically, vetters are gig workers, and they're able to phone interview applicants right at the moment of intent. So applicants interviewing for jobs could interview within seconds of applying.
So interesting. So in a world of like AI, do you see your guys that as moving towards more of a human experience or?
Yeah, definitely. So we call it instant human connection. The instant is it's kind of like requesting a ride share app, or if you're requesting a ride, you hit one button and it searches who's online, matches you up with that driver. So similar to that, someone would hit interview now just with one click of a button, and it searches who's online, matches them up with them. The script for the interview pops up for the vetter, the gig worker, and our technology connects the two parties on the phone.
Super cool. So with that, if I know you kind of already talked about that a little bit high level, but do you want to share an elevator pitch that maybe you would pitch to investors or what that is, if it's, or do you think you kind of already covered it?
Sure. Yeah, no, really what we're doing is we're capturing a lead at the moment of intent. And so we've seen conversion happen when you can really show that other human, the human on the other line, that they matter. So if you can show someone that they matter right at the moment of intent, that really makes a difference in how the person feels and the memories that are created during that process. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see how the physics of what creates momentum, and then the psychology of showing someone that they matter, the difference that it makes.
It's such a cool model in a lot of ways, and we can kind of touch on it later. I kind of want to give vetters a sense, but what's so interesting to me about what you guys are doing so far, as I understand it, is it's so much software that we're creating. And I think in the last 5 years has been software for the sake of software. Like we're creating software to solve problems that we created by introducing software. And that is kind of taking us back to, kind of before those days of like just connecting the two human beings. And it's like, it's a really cool model. I always used to joke around calling it organic intelligence, but I love, what was your word for it again?
Instant human connection.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with that, okay, so we talked about a couple things. Let's jump right in a little bit deeper and talk about maybe some of the largest challenges you guys are currently facing as a company. If you could share some of those with us.
Sure. Yeah. Our biggest thing, I think, has really just been getting Vette's name out there. I'm not a marketing person. I've, really been focused on building out the solution that works and getting, organic customers on the platform, which we've been doing. And then that creates a buzz. Now it's really just getting Vette's name out there so that way we could, provide options for people all over the country. Our vetters are distributed all over. So, we really want to be able to help provide income to folks in different areas where, jobs may be scarce even. And eventually we'd love to, have Vette expand outside of the country as well.
That's super cool. So right now you guys are domestic only. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so just to recap, so it sounds like there's always going to be availability for vetters, these people that are taking calls. But on the flip side of that, do you see any, and in that way, it's kind of like the ultimate side hustle, right? Because it's like a way for people to earn a little bit of cash on the side. And I don't know if the dollar amount, I'm sure, is like different for each vet or each, like depending on the role. So we don't have to talk about that. If people want to go find out more, can they just go to Vette?
Yeah, the way that it works is you sign up to be a vetter, and you make money for every phone interview that you conduct. So they're about 5 to 7 minutes long. You're really just, what's incredible about that is that you're able to show someone that they matter in this moment. And so, we want people to kind of go off script to really have that human connection. And, in a world where AI is kind of, trying to replace the human, we're bringing the human back in. So, when businesses are going towards AI and zigging, we're over here zagging. We really, really value that human connection.
Oh my gosh, that like pulls on my heartstrings because I think I see so much of like when the masses are moving somewhere, when they like queue up for a line for the iPhone or whatever, when the masses are going in one direction, I think the opportunity is always in the other direction. So I think it's crazy. I think HR professionals that are or recruiting professionals or investors that are interested in working with that aren't now, I think you'd be crazy not to be working with you guys because in a world where, it kind of went from the creator economy of like these blogs that were just kind of frivolous noise and didn't really like make a whole lot of sense, but they hit a lot of keywords, turned up on Google really high, and like you didn't really get your question answered. It's like we moved in the 21st century, got away from 56K dial up, and now we have all this content, but a lot of it's still not answering the questions. And just the human approach that you guys are taking is just, it makes so much more sense. And in an age where a lot of people don't feel valued or heard, to not have your resume looked at for months and weeks on end and not know what's going on, like that I think contributes largely to the problem. And it's really cool that simultaneously as economically we have these challenges and impacts going, that you guys are providing job opportunities, however big or small, for vetters to come in. And so the one other question I did want to ask before I lose my train of thought is, aside from vetters, are there any other side hustles that you see now or in the future, like maybe a part-time marketing role or something down the road, or maybe you guys don't have anything right now, but is there anything you see in the future as, being a potential side hustle gig for Vette internally?
Um, Potentially, in terms of communication, we have an SMS feature which has follow-ups to applicants post the interview to really again show them that they matter to the business. There's opportunity potentially for our vetters to kind of perform those tasks as well. That's something we've kind of talked about, but really we see Vette kind of also kind of disrupting the call center industry with gig workers. So our vetters not just doing phone interviews. That's where we started because that was my background. And I started the company during COVID on a theory that, if an applicant were to apply to a job and be offered an interview or to speak to someone right in that moment, would they want to do it? Would their behavior change? And the data suggested that it did. And now that we've been, out there on the market, the data is even more so validating that, we're seeing 112% conversions, which is incredible. So really any area where a business interacts with a human, we see the vetters being able to kind of play a role in.
You touched on this a little bit, but if you could extrapolate a little bit more, it sounds like you guys have had a pivot. Can you talk about any pivots that you guys have had and kind of, I think from that, I'd love to segue into any lessons that you've learned that you can share.
Oh yeah, so many lessons, definitely. Mike, my co-founder, and we really kind of look at building this business as like a video game where you have different unlocks, different levels that you're unlocking of knowledge that you didn't know, the month before. And it's been so incredible just to kind of hear the market and see what they're asking for. And the product just continues to evolve. What it originally was supposed to be was software engineers vetting software engineers, but during this discovery phase, we found that we really wanted to cater to the masses of providing options and income to just our neighbors. Our vetters are stay-at-home moms, retirees, military veterans, folks with disabilities who can't physically have a job, college students, really anyone who can read a script, has a phone and a computer, and could do this. And you go online when you want to work and offline when you don't, so it's completely flexible. And you get paid for every interview you do, and we want to provide those options to people all around the country and world.
So was that challenging? I know in companies that I've started in the past, when I was faced with that point of pivoting, I've grown a little bit since then, but like I definitely took it as like this, like, why is the universe against me? I had this idea. It was such a good idea. And then it was like to move so far away from where I thought I wanted to go. that was hard for me. How was that for you? And what other lessons kind of have you guys learned to this point?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny that you said that because I always thought that a pivot was a bad thing. And I think it's the best thing a business could ever have because it's you listening and taking the learnings and the knowledge and what people are saying. And basically what I did was I put it on a whiteboard and I just kind of mapped out all the different, potential scenarios of if we did it this way, if we did it this way. And ultimately, like I'll never forget when I pivoted to the frontline high volume industry sector. It was almost like I solved like a math equation. I was like, I got it. And that's where I was like, okay, I think this could really scale because, it's, we have access to so many resources and businesses have so much work that's going unfulfilled. And, we're not utilizing, humans to their fullest potential. And that's the other thing about Vette is, we're finding that taking the time because again, someone else is doing it. So you as an organization don't have to do it. You can take the time to really show that person, that allow them to feel heard and seen and ask questions like, really getting to the why and not just, why do you want to come work for my physical security company? But really saying, scripting it like to questions like, have you always been one to want to protect others? And really allowing that person to feel heard and seen in a world where, for a lot of these frontline jobs, a lot of people feel invisible. So we want to treat the frontline applicants interview just as a CFO would be interviewed, because everyone's, they're human and, one shouldn't have, a different experience than the other. Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question.
That's yeah, again, that is like I don't know. The fact that people aren't getting like vet tattooed all over their body and going crazy to buy this product and like shout from the rooftops about it is wild because and not that they're not. I don't, this is my first interview with you and I'm so thankful and grateful to have you here, but I just think this product is so cool in terms of like the people it's giving part-time work to and bringing back meaning and meaningful interaction between people that are otherwise a lot of times forgotten until their resume surfaces weeks or months later. And that definitely doesn't contribute. That definitely does contribute to, I think, some of the mental health crisis that's happening at this
Definitely.
point in time and with people working remotely. And I just bringing the human back in is just so cool. And so let's just switch gears really quick and then we can kind of round out. But what I wanted to get a sense of is kind of why that, like, how did you get to this point and talk a little bit about what motivates you as an entrepreneur, as a leader. So like why this particular thing? I know you talked about, you had a little bit of a history in that, if you want to touch on that. And then what drives you? I know for some people it's just financial gain, or for some people it's this like selfless thing to help other people, or it's like family, or it's something else. But
Mhm.
touch on those two things for us.
Yeah. So I'd say when I first started the company, my why started off as my mom. So, when I was 14, my mom, was a widowed mom. My dad had passed away. And so she held three jobs just to be able to make sure that, we had food to eat and went to school with, clean clothes and everything. And so I remember just seeing her, working these three jobs, and I was like, man, this is not how she should be living. Like this stinks. And if she had something like that, where she could be in the confines of her own home and work when wants to, and when she doesn't, and still have that option, I think that would have been incredible for us. And my goal has always been to be able to take care of my mom, but my purpose has changed for Vette because now I see all the other moms on the platform and all the other families and people who, are able to, around Christmas time, we had a vetter like reach out and say, I can pay for my children's Christmas gifts because of Vette. And so that is what I want. I want this to be, and what's also really cool is that it allows people to kind of find, their confidence and purpose because they're speaking to other humans and they're hearing their stories too. And this interaction between the two, it's so special. And the calls are recorded for quality and training, but kind of listening into them. And we do ask in the script, some of our customers ask questions like, what drives you outside of work? And you get to hear kind of their story, and it allows them also to be able to have a platform to talk on it. So we really do feel like Vet uh, could also help with the mental health, situation, because when you think about it, we experience about 20,000 or so moments a day as a human, which is wild. And businesses are interacting with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of humans, and all these moments are happening, but no one's doing anything with these moments. Imagine what we can do if we carefully design these moments, to really improve like just humanity and human to human connection.
I vibe with that so much. This morning, I was listening to this, like a neuroscientist, and last week I was listening to a rabbi, and they actually said this is a very similar thing, which kind of blew my mind, where it was like commerce, like the interaction of commerce, like money in and of itself. It's to bring us together, because you can't go buy a sandwich, you can't transact a dollar without going to the bank, like digitally or in person or whatever, interacting with another human being, and then then you go to the sandwich place to get your sandwich, or you go on some app to get it. And then there's the like money actually, and it's weird. I think a lot of times when I was a salesperson, I would get so scared of jumping on my calls. And then after the calls, it would feel so good. And I think we are supposed to be connected to one another, and there's something magical that happens when two people come together. And so I'm just like, why is everyone making such a big deal of AI when the human experience, like we still haven't figured it all out. Like we still haven't made that great. So
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that, going to COVID, we lacked that human experience, human to human connection. And, it definitely had its repercussions, on society and mental health and all that stuff. And, while AI definitely has a place in this world, like we truly believe that, like getting to the human faster, or, allowing the human to be able to do their job more efficiently, like that we definitely, support and agree with. And, but it really comes down to, and I think it also, like, it really comes down to allowing someone to realize that they have a purpose and that they are here for a reason. And when someone's having, so I'll tell you where the kind of how the moment thing happened. I would travel a ton, like when I first started the company, and I would go to the airport, and I would be like reading a book at the bar, at the restaurant, whatever, waiting for my flight. And I would have these moments and interactions with people who were also waiting for their flights. And in that moment, they would tell me their life story. And it was such a special thing, but and I think it's why I loved airports so much, because like I just met all these strangers, and they confided in me because it was these moments in time. And, the one woman that I had met, she had just lost her mom that day. And we had this moment where she was like, it was, we hugged each other, and, we didn't even know each other. We were strangers, but you can like just have moments with strangers that really change the trajectory of someone's day and potentially their life, like and I don't mean to go like this dark, but like imagine like a suicide hotline. And if someone is calling in and no one is there in that moment to talk to that person, like who knows what could happen. And like, it's just like moments could change people's lives. That's all I have to say about that.
no, it's the real deal. I just coming out of a season of dealing with depression and whatever, it's very real to me, because there was a lot of people in my life that I hadn't talked to in a long time or whatever. And people just kind of came out of the woodwork. And I'm like, it actually takes more faith for me to believe that all of this stuff just happens by chance, whatever people believe in, whether it's some spiritual thing or in the universe guiding them or whatever. But like, it's to me, it's like the people coming into your life and these little things that happen when people are brought back together. It's pretty magical. And I think, and there's science coming out about it now. I mean, the quantum science, quantum field and all this stuff that's coming out is like really kind of proving that, hey, there's more going on. Like we cast out our own Wi-Fi signals, and all this stuff's pretty like unknown still. And it's like, we don't even know what's going on in our own seas and on Mars and whatever. And we don't even know what's going on in the own human brain. In the 80s, they thought the brain was stuck in time and that it wasn't neuroplastic. And we've learned so much. So I had one more question on vet and I lost my train of thought. I'm trying to look at my notes here. We talked about lessons. We talked about a lot of stuff. We kind of talked about maybe the future, there will be some side hustle roles, but right now, vet in and of itself is the ultimate side hustle, I think, in many ways. Was there anything else you wanted to close with or that you wanted to say in closing about vet and kind of your journey to this point?
Yeah, just more companies on the platform means more, we're creating more jobs all around the country and world. And so just getting Vet's name out there, and having the opportunity to talk with you here on this, I really appreciate when, yeah, I think that side hustles are definitely, the thing of the future, being able to have options to generate income outside of your normal, day to day. Some of our vetters are doing it, all day, every day, and some, do it when they come home from work or on the weekends. So I think just any kind of side hustle, which is why I love this hustling, is really incredible, just to showcase that that's kind of where the world is going, and we have to listen to what the world is saying.
So a couple things. Where if I'm an organization, where can I find you to get started and sign up?
Sure. So you can go to vette.io. So VETTE.io. Don't go to vet.com because you'll find a bunch of Corvettes unless you really like Corvettes. But yeah, VETTE.io. V as in Victor.
And then is there a free trial or is there some kind of, how does that look like if a company wants to get started?
Yeah, businesses could sign up for a 7-day free trial or up to 25 free vets to kind of see, the magic moment, and the conversions. And we provide a data report afterwards, so you can see kind of your before and after. But you can get it set up pretty quickly within a couple days.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I know we're just about at time. It's been awesome having you. You're so badass. I love your mission. I love that it started with your mom and then it's a deeper thing and it's you're really looking for this sense of meaningful impact. I think a lot of us are trying to success and fulfillment are so different and I just appreciate you, coming on. I appreciate you as a person starting this company and going through the roller coaster of highs and lows as it were that I know startup life can bring. So thank you so much for being here and being a part of the
Thank you,
podcast.
Barry. I appreciate you and hustling.